EDA Music Radio.
Good evening and welcome to the EDA Music Radio podcast. Today we've got Ian Lawton with us. How are you?
Hi, how are you doing? I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for doing this interview in such a really very short notice as well.
That's no problem.
No, thank you for sending me your music as well, particularly the song "Break These Chains." That's quite a song.
Well, it's one of those songs, isn't it? You write from experience and you learn from experience, and if somebody else gets to hear your song and it means something to them, then that makes it all the more listenable, I guess.
Exactly. When you write a song, it's the deep personal ones are the ones that people sort of understand and can relate to. And
yeah, it is a bit personal, that one.
Oh yes.
But life is life, and you learn from your experiences, and you share your experiences through song. Well, that's the way I do it. So
Exactly, and it's always good to share what you can do as well. And I love listening to different types of songs, and it's very nice. It's one of the songs. It does have that British feel to it, I must say as well.
Well, thank you very much. The track was written 3 years ago.
Wow.
Wasn't really released until recently. But there's a guy on the track who plays the lead guitar by the name of Ian Lawton. Very, very talented guitarist, quite well known around the West Country down here in England.
That is fantastic, and it's good to. I see that you've got quite a musical history as well.
Yeah, I started writing at the age of 16. By the age of 19, I'd been introduced to several other songwriters, and one in particular, Raymond Froggatt, who had previously written 2 number-1 hits, one for the Dave Clark 5 called The Red Balloon, which sold millions across Europe in I believe, about 30 different languages, and the other being Big Ship for Cliff Richard. So to be associated with a man of his calibre was amazing, and at such a young age. I mean, by the time I was 22, I'd co-written the opening track on an album for Raymond Froggatt called How the Eagles Fly.
That is phenomenal. Well done. Congratulations. It's just brilliant, isn't it? And you got yourself known worldwide as well.
Yeah, it's happening at the moment. I'm involved with a project with the president of Israel, actually, Shimon Peres, who wrote a poem called Ray of Hope. And he asked songreaders.com to put music to the poem, and that's about to enter the Guinness Book of Records, I believe, as one of the most recorded songs in the most different languages. And my version won't be available until February of next year, but I'm very, very proud to be a part of that, and who knows, that might make history.
That is certainly fantastic. I seem to vaguely remember that site. It's one of those things I came across a few years ago. Suddenly forgot about it. But wow, that is good.
Yeah, they've actually released 4 CDs in the past of the song. Obviously on CD5 I get the opportunity to represent the UK. Very, very proud of that.
And I take it does a lot better than how we do in Eurovision.
I'm sure they do. That's a debate for another day, I think.
I know, but it's good. It's good to know that there's somewhere where your work is appreciated.
Oh yeah, every time. I mean, even sometimes, I hear it on the radio and I think to myself, it's a bit of achievement. I mean, I have 2 or 3 kids growing up, and they still pinch themselves, and they start to pinch me and say, "Dad, you're on the radio."
It is a strange feeling when you hear your own song on the radio, isn't it?
Yeah, because you never ever know how, even though you've been involved in the recording, the mixing, the production, and eventually the outcome and the finished product, you still don't know how people are going to take it or how it's going to sound. To you it might sound lovely, but to somebody else it may sound a completely different kettle of fish.
Exactly. And for myself, from my own point of view, a musician too, I actually did hear a song of mine being played on a shop radio as I walked in. And
Oh, cool.
the strangest thing is when you walk in, you hear a song saying, "That's quite a nice song. I quite like that." It's like there's something quite familiar about it, and then it hits you.
Realise it's yours.
Hmm?
And then you realise it's yours.
I know, and when it hits you, it's a really strange feeling because there's other people in the shop looking at me.
Well, in fact, I mean, you played Break These Chains last night, and I had a couple of members of the family that were here.
Mm-hmm.
They'd never heard the song before, but about 6 or 7 bars in, my brother said to me, "Is that you singing?"
I'm so glad I managed to get it all. I had a bit of trouble trying to get all the songs ready, so as I can get that one placed so as you can actually hear it when you wanted to. But I'm so glad I managed to get it done.
Yeah, thank you very much for playing it.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to play, and I know this may sound weird, right? But I do want to try and get more British artists as well, mainly because it's a British radio station.
Yeah.
And
I
that's no
think music
offence.
is an international flavour, really, isn't it? It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. It's music, and it doesn't even matter what language it's in. It speaks volumes, really.
Oh, it's true. That's. I keep saying that. But one of the greatest things about music itself is that no matter where you go, music is still the same. You can't change it. It's a universal language.
I'd agree with you. I mean, going back to Raymond Froggatt and the Red Balloon, or Callo La Vita, as it became known in France and Germany and Italy. It was recorded in so many different languages and had so many different styles put to it, but it was still the Red Balloon, and it will always be the Red Balloon, no matter what language it's sung in.
That is truly, it's amazing what music can do to people. And as I say, I do love listening to new music, and that's the great thing about the station is that I hear new songs every day now, and it's like the one thing that always pops in the head sometimes is, why have I not heard that before?
Yeah,
And
I think sometimes it's just that people are afraid to let things go of their own, and I mean, the music industry, and I've learned from personal happenings, it can be a very brutal place to be in.
mm-hmm.
You just have to learn sometimes to take the kicks and get back up and start again.
That's true. That is true. There's lots of people reinventing themselves always these days, just so that they'll be forever remembered. And plus, the celebrity status that's carrying about now is kind of what's the word I'm looking for? That's what it's all about, being a celebrity and being spotted.
Yeah, well, going back to the early 80s, late 80s, early 90s, I was quite well known as a musician and singer. I never achieved the acclaim I always wanted, obviously. But it's nice to be spotted, it's nice to be known, it's nice to be remembered for what kind of music you do.
Yes, of course. And times do change a little bit. Modern music nowadays is all about the beat. And getting
I have to agree. I would agree on that one.
And getting it done, and just getting the song done in 3 minutes, and make sure you have a repetitive chorus that's got the hook, and that's basically it.
Yeah, another song which I co-wrote with Raymond Froggatt, it's called Through Sorrow, Through Pain. That certainly wasn't recorded in 3 minutes. It took about 3 days to get done because on the recording, obviously the producer was Bob Lamb, who previously, only a couple of years before, he won a Brit Award for the best producer for Signing Off, which UB40 were discovered by. And Bob actually recorded that in a little 8-track studio. So to then be involved with Bob Lamb for 3 years long where he got a 48 multi-track studio, and we had some of the top musicians in the country at the time, including Billy Paul, who sadly is no longer with us. But he was known for playing sax on stage and also in videos and on tracks of Ruby Turner. So for us as young kids to be involved with people like that, it's lovely, but sometimes it doesn't last. You know, you have to remember in the music business, take a step backwards and come back walk forward again 2 steps. That's how you do it. And if at times you can't do that, then you may as well just go and take a few years off and try again.
Oh, yes. It's amazing what's happened. I remember the mid-90s when Oasis came through. And the songs at that time was all quite sad, and you had their songs. You also had R.E.M. that were doing quite well, and they were having the sad. So you had kind of a really sad phase. Now people just want to hear in the charts just happy dancey songs, and it just sometimes the modern music nowadays is kind of devoid of all emotion.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. It does seem more like a factory type of outlet, doesn't it? That's personal songwriting.
That's exactly what it was. I remember, and no offence to them, they did okay, but if you remember the late 80s, they had Stock Aitken and Waterman. And they
did very well.
They churned out songs, but at least, some of them, had something to them. But
yes. Yeah.
Nowadays, it's just let's get 3 minutes, tell a story, and it's not really a story. The days of the stories are gone, I think, a little bit. I miss the story songs. Social commentary is gone as well, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and it would seem that it's a shame in one way because the youngsters, they're not songwriters, and well, most of them, I would say 90% of them are not songwriters. They're just part of a music factory, aren't they?
Exactly, and it's just sad, to see, somebody that, I won't name names, but you could probably guess who I'm thinking of.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I know. I'm sure most of your listeners will know.
That basically, one album. Actually, that's the thing I've noticed is that albums are being done like every year now from the major artists. I remember, and I was speaking to somebody a few days ago, and they were saying, I remember Michael Jackson used to have albums. You had to wait 4 years for an album, and nowadays it's a year, maybe not even. And
I guess it's part of the industry where everybody wants to make a few quid and a quick buck, and the way they do it is churn as much as they can out as fast as they possibly can and hope for the best. But they seem to have 90% of the market at the moment, or 99% of the market.
Exactly. Because if you look at the top songs, the charts, it's the same people that's topping the charts. You're not getting those ones from people that actually, have it's even people that did the talent shows as well are coming up to the charts as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, occasionally it happens for people. I mean, there's a young guy, Casey Keegan, who I know. And believe it or not, he's just had a number 1 hit in Japan, and he beat Lady Gaga to number 1.
Wow!
And he's unsigned.
That is phenomenal. That's actually brilliant. To hear that someone's unsigned.
Yeah.
To do that, it's been a long time since I've heard that here.
Yeah. Well, it's happened, and I'm so pleased for him. And the guy's been running around like a headless chicken for the last 15 years trying to get a hit song without any respect, really, or any notion of wanting to do it for the money. And then suddenly, bang, he hit the big time.
Yeah, no, I remember.
Yeah, but he's certainly done it in Japan.
There's something coming back to me. It's been a while ago, but there's a song in the mid '90s, maybe late '90s, and it was done by a guy in his bedroom, and it's got a sort of wee riff that sounded like an organ. Oh, what's it called?
Roomful of Asher?
No. But that did take. I think the fellow was Indian as well. That did it. What was that song? It's in my head. I'm not very good at doing tunes, but it did have a sort of ice creamy van sound in it as well.
Right. I remember the Roomful of Asher, and that was more or less a bedroom gig. And also, didn't David Bedingfield start off as a bedroom singer?
Ah, that's coming back. Yes.
Daniel Bedingfield.
Daniel, yes. Daniel, yes. I remember that. Yes. Those were the '90s.
I think when that happens, but it puts a little bit of faith back into the music industry.
I think we need a little bit of faith back as well for musicians. Yeah. Because all I'm hearing is now is, as I said, manufactured tracks that probably would only be heard for a few minutes and forgotten about because they're there. You get the occasional sort of nice ones. Oh, it's been a while since I heard a really good one. It's sort of. There was a nice, lovely song last year that had a guitar and a marimba. That sounded a bit like Blah Blah Black Sheep. What was that song?
I'm not sure I've heard that one.
Is it someone I used to know? Oh, I think that's what it's called. By a guy called Goiti or something like that. I'm not very sure about it, but I keep hearing it on TV all the time.
I'm not sure.
That's the other thing, TV placements is something that that is one of the things people should try and go for. Get your music heard on TV.
Yeah, well, this is what happened with Casey. His song was used in an advert, and suddenly, as I say, he's a major hit with it there.
That's right. Oh, I remember in the early '90s. Remember how they used to have jeans adverts?
Yeah.
And there was a group called Stiltskin that had one called Inside. And that was sorry?
No, I don't remember it, but yeah.
Don't keep me on inside. Yeah. They were a Scottish group, but they got the advert for the jeans. One time getting your song in a jeans advert was like top thing. And they got to number one. And also Spaceman by Babylon Zoo did it as well.
That's right, I remember that. Yeah.
Yes, it's all coming back to me. That's that's the time when people got their music heard. Was on the one of those kind of big adverts. Gosh, that's taking me back a long time. We're talking 20 years.
Is it that long ago?
I think so. I might be wrong, but I don't think I'm far off. But that's the golden age of music.
Yeah, and then once you've had the hit, it's there forever, isn't it? It stays forever. And if it's worthwhile, then people will never forget it.
Exactly. I grew up. Sure to say it, but I grew up in the '80s. 80s music was like the time for me. I remember most of the songs from the '80s. It's scary. I remember groups like Kajagoogoo and Spandau Ballet.
I'm sure I remember a few more before then.
I know, but I do listen to groups from way before the '80s. But that was before you had the internet and things like that. We had to listen to Radio 1.
Yeah. I'm amazed and taken back every time by internet radio stations and how much easier it is for artists to get their stuff played. But I think it's a fantastic thing in another way. People even struggle these days to find a gig, a venue where they can go and play because there isn't any unless you're a major star.
Exactly. I know, and maybe having a good credential might be something that might be the only way in. But these days it's hard.
Yep.
Plus the real musicians these days are being kept aside for singers that just want their 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Sorry. That's why I did the station as well, because I felt that there was a lot of music that wasn't getting heard. And, and since I started, you probably gather I've listened to a lot of songs.
Yeah, well, that's part of being a musician and DJ, I guess, isn't it?
Yes, I know. A lot, and there are songs that do stand out, and I must say your song did. But I think because I grew up listening to Bruce Springsteen, and I know the kind of songs that he writes about, and there was and the metaphors that he comes out with. When I was young, I didn't know what a metaphor was. When you grow up, you realise it. But there was a kind of similarity a little bit as well that I remember, and I quite liked that.
Cool.
So
if I was to ask you a personal question,
yes.
why did that song "Break These Chains" stand out to you personally?
I think because I think the emotional level within it actually did get to me a little bit. I listen to songs for, how can I put it? I like to hear a story behind the song.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is, and every song should have a story, even if it's instrumental. There's a lot of emotion you can carry on an instrumental track, because I do that. But when you have an actual song, when you're singing, you have to feel what went through the songwriter's mind at the time, and sometimes out there you just don't hear that, and it's good to actually hear that as well.
Well, thank you very much for that.
No, thank you as well for sending me it.
Okay, shall we wrap this up at that then?
Yeah, let's end on a nice note, because I think we're going to get quite teary. But thank you. Thank you.
Thanks very much for having me on the show.
No problem. What I'll do is I'll put this up on the SoundCloud page.
Yeah.
And what I might actually try and do is do a YouTube video, which will just be a picture with the audio in the background.
Thank you very much.
Once I worked out how to do it. So that won't be fully well, but I'll try and work out how to do it. But I'll need some pictures though.
Okay,
Right, thank you very much.
No, thank you too. Bye bye now.
Bye.
EDA Music Radio.